All right, everybody. Welcome back to episode 6 of the Player B podcast. Again, I'm Marcus Mercer, joined by Rob Blevins. Rob, how we doing?
Doing very well, sir. How about yourself?
Can't complain. It's we actually had a little bit of fairly decent weather today. Made me want to go out and play golf, but work out in the way of that. So
yeah, that whole pesky job thing kind of fights the midweek rounds of golf desires. So it makes sense. It'll be what it is.
Yeah, well, we're sitting here on March 3rd, and it was almost 60 degrees and sunny today. So I'll take that any time we can get it. But temperature's gonna dip a little bit here, but we'll get there soon enough to where we're golfing here. But I know we both were traveling a little bit, took some road trips, celebrating our wives' birthdays here separately this week. So hopefully you guys celebrated accordingly and had a good weekend. And
we did.
And it sounds like there was some libations being had on both accounts here. So it can never go wrong there. So
right, exactly. Yeah, a little adult beverages were had, and we're not can't quite bounce back like we did in our 20s. So
exactly. Can't quite bounce back. And it as we were talking about right before we hit record here, it made for a perfect little Sunday golf on TV nap for you. And and I unfortunately did not watch any golf this weekend, so you'll have to catch me up to speed here. But it sounds like Morikawa played pretty well, and when you were coherent coming in and out of your naps there, it sounds like he got it done. So
he just kind of plugged along. He was just kind of like a metronome, just steady throughout the telecasts on Sunday. Some guys kind of made little spurts of runs. Victor Hovland had a stretch there where he was kind of within, I think, a shot or two. Billy Horschel was same thing, kind of right there. Koepka had, I think, an eagle putt on 17 to get within one. But, I mean, it seemed like those guys were just pressing so hard that they kind of forced the issue and make a mistake, short side themselves, and then not get up and down and kind of take themselves out of condition. So Morikawa just kind of played just well enough to kind of, keep his 3-shot lead and cruise down 18, and those carefree wins are the way to do it. So
yeah, no kidding. And it seems like recently, the last probably month or so, we're seeing kind of the same names at the top of the leaderboard. The same guys are playing well every week, and Morikawa is one of them. Hovland's one of them. I don't think Homa played this week, but he's been at the top of every leaderboard recently. So it's cool to see.
It was kind of cool to see everybody rocking the Tiger red and black. That was cool.
I did catch a little bit of that on social media. I didn't watch it, but so I didn't see it live. But that was pretty cool to see a little tribute there. So
I was wondering. I think I don't remember who said it on Twitter midweek after it happened. They're like, it'd be cool if everybody did that. So you kind of knew it might happen, but it was pretty cool to see some of the guys, and not just on the PGA Tour, but on the senior tour, the LPGA, the Korn Ferry tours. It was kind of, I mean, obviously he's had a pretty major impact on all tours. Right. They're all playing for millions of dollars because of him instead of thousands of dollars. So it was good to kind of see everybody pay tribute to the guy, and hopefully he makes a quick and speedy comeback, but we'll see.
Yeah. And the other thing that, again, it's tough not having watched it, but the concession was kind of they've played some tour events there previously, but it hasn't been in the rotation in quite some time. So it was probably a lot of people like myself first experience, seeing the course and things like that. So I know I watched a video that the No Laying Up guys did on the course, and it seemed like it's they kept saying it was the hardest course in Florida. So for whatever that's worth, it must have been pretty difficult.
There's quite a few down there, so that's the hardest one. But it looked to be a pretty challenging. I mean, even though the winning score was minus 18, you could tell that if you put it in the wrong spot, it was. I mean, you were toast. You were making bogey pretty easily. So just goes to show how solid Morikawa has played for all 4 days. And so it was good to see. And he's a young kid. I think he just turned 24. So
yeah, I mean that's the thing with what's going on with the tour now. It's like Homa just won. He's 26 or whatever he is. Hovland's been up there every week. He's
yep,
mid 20s.
yeah,
Morikawa saying, I mean, all these guys are
yeah, it's crazy.
young and they're playing so well. So we'll see where it goes this week. We got the API, the Arnold Palmer Invitational coming up this week. So I don't know.
It's always fun to watch, see everybody kind of pay tribute to Arnie now that he's not there standing on 18. So all the guys have their own ways of paying tribute with the umbrella or the I forget who it was. I can't remember the guy's name. Terrell Hatton. He had some cardigan sweater on that he hit like a tee shot in the practice round of kind of paying tribute to him. So
nice.
All the guys kind of do that. So it was kind of neat to see.
Yeah, well, it's Florida Swing's always nice because they're playing some great courses that are nice and lush and green when we don't have any of that here in Ohio. So it's
soupy swamp. So yeah, it's nice to see some green grass and firm greens instead of just
right. So
yeah.
But anyway, we actually have some golf to talk about because, as I mentioned on the last episode, we did with Bill Rabel, pronounce his name correctly this time. Yes. But we chatted with Bill from the Penn Ohio Golf Trail. If you haven't listened to that, go check it out. But I had a chance, like I said, this past weekend was my wife's 30th birthday, so we took a little road trip to celebrate down to Savannah. And while we were on our way down there, we actually made a pit stop at Hilton Head and played Harbour Town for the first time, which I don't know if you've ever been down to Hilton Head or played golf down that way, but obviously Harbour Town, they host a tour event and it's top, I think it's 20 or 21 in the public golf rankings and all that kind of stuff. So it was kind of a bucket list course, I guess. And my wife is awesome and she's the best. And she didn't have to talk me into playing it, but I originally wasn't going to play there, but she said if it's a bucket list course and you have one round, just do it. So we made it happen. But I made a ton of notes, got all kinds of stuff to talk about here. So I guess we just talk a little bit about the Harbour Town experience. So
I was going to say, dive right in. You pull into the facility. What's it like?
So it's kind of funny. It's obviously they host a tour event, and they have everywhere from the best pros in the country coming there. After the Masters every year to 24 handicaps playing. With their push carts and and they're down there, they're the snowbirds or whatever they call them. It's kind of crazy. You pull in, and obviously it's got this huge clubhouse, which if you haven't seen it, take a look at it, but it's got this huge, beautiful clubhouse. And, you walk around, they take your bag, stick it in your cart, all that stuff. And you go in the clubhouse and check in, and you go in there and they have, framed jackets and trophies from all the winners, and you look on there and you see all these names like Payne Stewart and Ben Crenshaw and all these guys, like, oh, okay, these guys are pretty good. So it was just kind of cool to walk around and take a look at some of that stuff and see some of the names on the wall. And they have paintings from all the past winners, hallways and things like that. So that was pretty cool. But obviously I had to do some damage in the pro shop there and pick up some gear. As anybody that's watching on YouTube, you can see my hat, but
I saw that. I was like, nice, already repping it. I like it.
Of course. So you gotta pick up some gear and things like that. But one of the cool things we'll kind of go through is I'm kind of a yardage book nerd, I guess you can say. I love yardage books and things like that, so I obviously picked one up there. And this is looking through it, it's almost what I would imagine a tour pro's yardage book kind of looks like. It has it has all the runoffs on the greens and the yard. It's pretty crazy. Like
information overload, all right, this is a lot of info here on this course.
Way too much info. It took me 10 or 15 minutes to get acclimated to, but usually you go to a resort course and you pick up a yardage book and it's kind of just a memento and just a layout of the hole and basic yardage. But it was pretty cool to open this up and take a look at it and see. But obviously we had to we got there early, stopped in the pro shop, got some gear, and had to sit out on the patio and get a drink first. So I sent a picture to you guys and got a nice response out of you guys. So had a transfusion on the patio before we teed off and enjoyed the sunshine. So
kind of killed the nerves a little bit there, and
it was pretty.
Right down one. So
exactly. We sit out on the patio and you can see 1 tee box is right there. 9 green is right there. 10 tee boxes right there. And then you have the driving range and the huge putting green and things like that. So I go out to, finish up drink, whatever, go out to the driving range, and there's 2 other groups on the driving range of guys. And one of them is decked out in Ohio State gear, which you're going to find anywhere you go, anywhere. Yeah. There's always going to be the guy dressed in the scarlet and gray, and they're talking Browns football. And I'm like, these are my people here. Cause being a big Browns fan, I go over and I say, I heard you guys are talking Browns football. Are you guys from Ohio? And all 8 of them were from Ohio and myself included. So 9 people on the driving range were all from Ohio.
Wow. All Browns fans or just all from Ohio?
All Browns fans. One group was from Columbus. One was from Cleveland.
Okay.
So, it's like, of course, I drive down to South Carolina and playing golf, and I'm surrounded by Ohioans. So, but yeah, I mean, it was cool. It wasn't your standard driving range. They had just unlimited Pro Vs on the range, so a little bit better than hitting the rocks that I'm accustomed to at the driving ranges here in Columbus.
Do they have practice on them so you didn't just throw them in your bag?
They did. Okay. So
I respect that, Harbour Town. I respect that.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it was great. So go over to the first tee, and they typically offer caddies there, but with COVID going on, they didn't offer walking caddies, but every group had to have a 4 caddy. Which was kind of cool. It was really my first caddy experience at a course like that. So it was kind of cool, and I'll get into it a little bit, but more so on this course, it was huge to have him because there were a lot of shots, a lot of holes that you could be in the fairway and be blocked out of greens. So without having somebody with some local knowledge of the course and things like that, it was good to have him saying, all right, you want to be left half of the fairway here. Here's your line, picking out a line for you, things like that. Yeah. Especially being the first time, I've ever played the course. So the first hole is kind of like that. It's a pretty short and straight par 4 we played, I got paired up with some guys and played from the white tee, so it was like 6,300 yards. But the first hole is a 380-yard par 4, so it's not super long. But there is a set of trees to the left in front of the green that if you're on the left-hand side of the far left-hand side of the fairway, you're kind of blocked out. So without, and that's something you can't necessarily see from the tee box. You see the trees, but it doesn't look like it's going to block you out. So So I got paired up with a group of 3 guys. A couple of them were from Colorado, and one of them was the 4th was their dad who lives down there. So they had all played the course a bunch of times. So,
so that kind of helps too.
And they were some nice guys, and Kelsey, my wife, rode along with me, so we introduced them, and they all had a good time, and it was good. But we got started on 1. We had Kevin as our caddy. My guy Kevin was a New Yorker through and through. You could tell with the accent, and he had been down there. I think he said he had been caddying down there for 8 years now, so he knew the course in and out. Let's just say that. But it was kind of cool to pick his brain a little bit about, he said they don't necessarily work during tournament week and things like that, unless, they rarely get picked up, but he talked about like walking with Billy Horshaw in practice rounds and helping him read the greens and stuff like that. So that was kind of cool, but some notes that I made about this course. So I kind of already mentioned one of them, but you have to follow what your caddy's telling you, especially off the tee.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's probably just a nice general rule of thumb anyway, but I mean, he's going to tell you where you need to be, where to miss if you don't hit it the way you want to, which I did quite frequently, but he's going to tell you where your misses are and things like that, where, if you're going to be blocked out, if you're, too far right or too far left or what have you there. So that was kind of cool. The other big thing that I noticed with in listening to Caddy, and I wish I would have started having him give me some lines on putts earlier, but by about hole 6 or 7, I had him picking out some lines on putts for me. And I think the guy just like closed his eyes and could read greens in his sleep.
Yeah.
Like he literally knew every single line for every putt that all 4 of us were hitting on that course. It was pretty incredible. Yeah. And the greens weren't super fast. They were slower than I would have thought for that course, but he said, they're going to start speeding them up here in the next week or so for getting ready for the tournament. But and we also played later in the day too. So that, I think that probably made him a little bit slower, but it was funny. There's a lot of subtle break in those greens. And, some of the guys and myself would say, Kev, what do you see here? Is it a cup outside? And he's like, nope. You just say nope, and we'd all start laughing. He's like, you gotta get that thing started 2 feet outside the cup or whatever, whatever the break was. He was so adamant about. He's like, here's your line. I mean, he would tell you, and I'm telling you, he made probably 4 putts for me just by knowing the line without. And he didn't get down. He wasn't reading the greens. He just knew them. He just knew. Yeah. He's just like
your repetition,
exactly, knowing the course. Just 100% knowing the course. And by hole 14 or 15, I said, Kevin, I think these greens pretty well, don't you? He's like, I've been out here once or twice. And I'm like, yeah, once or twice a day for the last 8 years.
Yeah, so, that's what I was going to say. He's got a double loop, and probably back when they had caddies, double bag it at times at a course like that. That's how he makes his money, I'm assuming, is just get out there as often as you can with as many bags on your shoulders as you can. So
yeah, and he said they closed down for a little bit when COVID first hit or whatever, and then they opened back up. And he said he did loops 93 days in a row without a break after that, because they were just so busy, and they they needed guys and things like that. And obviously, can't turn down the money. So
I was going to say that's money. So yeah,
it was pretty cool though. Half those guys' jobs are just keeping it lighthearted and making sure everybody's having fun and things like that. But he hustled. He was out there. And one other thing I guess I should mention, we took a cart, but it was cart path. It's cart path only on that course year round. Okay. They keep the carts off the grass. Yep. Which usually, we played a few times and it's cart path only, and you're taking half your bag off the cart and walking over there and things like that. But it was nice having him out there, because he would give you yardage and you just pull your club and walk out to your ball and go hit it. So he was out there hustling in front of us, helping search for some balls if we needed to, getting yardages, and he was pretty spot on with all of his yardages. So it was pretty cool to see. But the other just going through some of this, I'm flipping through the yardage book here. The other thing that I noticed, there are some very unique green shapes out there.
Yeah.
So, typically you kind of have a round or an oval shape, that kind of thing. Number 9 green is a heart shaped, kind of a heart shaped with surrounded by bunkers and things like that. there's on 12, there's like an L-shaped green almost, which is kind of crazy.
Right.
And 13, there's, I guess, kind of a Pete Dye staple, but it's almost like an elevated green that's surrounded by bunkers with the railroad ties going up and things like that.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some interesting green shapes out there that make it interesting and whatnot. I'll be sharing plenty of photos on my Instagram, but the par threes on that course are incredible.
Are they?
So, I mean,
I mean, they're not super long, are they? I mean, the course itself isn't.
No. Like I said, we played from a pretty reasonable yardage. We played from 6,300 yards. So most of the par threes were pretty reachable, depending on the tees. But there is water on, I think, almost all of the par threes except 17 maybe, but water that kind of runs diagonal through the hole, so it cuts off yardage if you're not on the right side of the green or things like that. But just kind of visually, they're pretty incredible par threes and just kind of a lot of fun to play. And playing with a caddy, and Kevin kind of pointed out some things that I would have never known had he not been there. But with the unique green shapes and some of the water running around behind the greens and things like that, he's like, if you hit that ball flag pin high, he's like, you'll never find it, it'll be in the water. So he's like you need to be 5 yards short of the pin and play it way out to the right, that kind of stuff. That
it's just stuff you don't think about.
If I'm out there, I'm lasering the pin, and I'm like, okay, I'm 170 to the pin. Let's hit it 170. It's like, no, you don't want to be there. So it was nice to kind of have that. But the front nine kind of starts and it's all tree lined, and I had to hit several punch out shots per the old Instagram name, but there's it's tree line and it's tight, but if you hit it, you don't hit it in the fairway, there's room to get through those trees. You just have to kind of get a little creative. So it's a tough course, but if you're keeping the ball on the planet, you're going to be okay. It's just you need to be a little creative with getting out of some hairy spots and make sure you're on the right side of things. So,
well, that being said, that kind of leads. I just jotted it down as you were talking. This is the first round of 2021. How did the driver treat you, and how did Scotty treat you out there?
So Scotty got off to a little bit of a rocky start, but we picked it up once we got things going. The driver, after I sent you guys the text of my transfusion on the patio there, I know you wished me ill will off the first tee.
More out of jealousy, not true ill will, just jealousy. That
for the listeners out there, I got a text back that said, "I hope you roll it off the first tee."
I think that's verbatim. And then I think I said I also wish that you shot 150. So I think it was between those two. Those were pretty ill wills.
I didn't roll it off the first tee, and I didn't shoot 150, but I felt like I did at certain points. I ended up shooting 84. I think I told you 82 previously, but I actually went back. It was a shot at 84.
You got to post it to the handicap. Get those dots.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's all about. But no, the driver, I love the driver. I hit that thing pretty well all day, except there was one par 5 on the backside. I hit a not great drive into the shit. Had to dig it out, but I love the way it felt. I hit it well. I mean, we're gonna keep it in the bag, that's for sure.
That's good. Yeah,
so
good.
I changed some of the settings around, not to get too in depth with it, but I had it with the draw setting. I changed it back to neutral and things like that. So I ended up playing a little bit of a cut, which I normally did previously with my old driver, but no, it felt great. And the biggest difference between the Maverick and my old driver Old Callaway. Just when you hit it on the screws, it feels so pure. It just feels so good, and it flies off the club face. But we the second hole is a pretty reachable par 5, and I hit a drive dead center cut, and had about a 5-iron into the green, hit it to about 20 or so feet, and my guy Kevin is fist pumping me walking down the fairway, and then I proceed to 3-jack it and make par. So so Scotty and I got off to a little bit of a rocky start, but we picked it up as we got it going. So
that's good.
Much of that attributed to Kevin. So it was a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean the front 9, like I said, you're kind of playing between the trees. There's some water you're dealing with and things like that. But you get up to 9, and 9's a short par 4 headed back into the clubhouse, and by short I mean it's reachable off the tee. I think it was, if I'm looking at it right, it was about 290 from the tees we were playing. So I blew it out to the left of the green. It would have got on the front of the green, but it played it out to the left, chunked a chip. So I ended up making bogey, and we go to I'm mentioning this because not only myself said this, Kelsey, my wife, said this, but we make the turn, go to the halfway house, and I don't know what it was, but Harbour Town might have the best golf course hot dogs I've ever had in my life. It was
really,
I literally wrote that down because I knew you would probably appreciate that as much as I did. Kels had a hot dog, and she goes, "Is this hot dog really good?" And I said, "Yeah, of course it is." She's like, "This might be the best hot dog I've ever had." So if you're ever at Harbour Town, make sure
I'll note that. I'll say I've heard great things. But I kind of treat like a golf hot dog is kind of like a slice of pizza. Like you can't really have bad golf hot dogs. I mean, but I guess you could. I mean, you get a day old one that's been on a roller, soaking in the hot water at the end of the day. My old days of working in the golf business, when it's like 7:00 at night and you grab one of those hot dogs out of the boiling water, I guess that's probably not as pristine as a Harbour Town dog. So
in the back of this yardage book, I made some notes, and it literally says "amazing hot dog at turn." So there you go. So and I mean, the hot dog did me right, because I literally went, I stepped up and I went par, bogey, par to start the back 9. So
has to be the hot dog.
I'll take that. And after making double on 8 and bogey on 9, I ripped off a couple pars there, and the guys were like, "He's back." And I said, it was the hot dog at the turn. So
it's gotta be the hot dog at the turn.
So there's the hard hitting course review right there. But no, the back 9 at Harbour Town is pretty incredible. Everybody sees the picture of 18, with the lighthouse in the background and the bay and all that kind of stuff, the harbor. But it really you start seeing the landscape open up and things like that on the back 9, and the 16 is a long par 4 that's kind of a 90-degree dogleg left, which again, if you don't hit a fairly decent tee shot, you can be kind of screwed. But I hit a great tee shot to about 80 yards and found a way to make a 5. So
an 80-yard shot.
We'll get into that later, but you're standing 100 yards out of the green, and you're seeing in the back, you're seeing 17, which is a par 3, and 18 tee box, and like I said, the bay's kind of there, and everything's just open up, and obviously it was a beautiful 78 or 79 degree day, and it was pretty awesome to kind of take that all in. But like I said, made a terrible bogey on 16, and then move on to, again, just an incredible par 3 on 17, and made a par there, and then you're standing on the tee box at 18. And you're like, damn, this is pretty cool. It's kind of a a bucket list course, or kind of a picturesque moment. You're looking at it and you're like, man, all these pros have stood here and all that kind of stuff. So it was cool. Everybody kind of, the one thing I read is that everybody sees 18 and they think that's how the whole course is kind of laid out, open and water, and it's not at all.
Right.
The first 15 holes are tree lined and tight and things like that. So that was one of the big takeaways there. So it was pretty awesome, man. It was well worth it. It was, it's obviously not cheap to play there, but it was a one golf round I was going to get in over the weekend. So I figured I might as well go all out and do it. But it was a ton of fun. Took a bunch of pictures, get all those up on Instagram. But
I was gonna say we'll be looking forward to seeing those get posted. So
yeah. But I guess I played okay considering it was first round of the year. Hadn't been outside other than the driving range.
Right, hitting off the mat.
Hitting off mats is bad for my game, I heard. So I need to get some more swings on turf. But it played okay. I drove the ball okay, hit my irons okay. The thing that really killed me, like I said on 16, was kind of 100 yards and in. And not hitting greens from 100 yards and in is pretty brutal, and I did that on several holes. So
I'd say that's pretty common though for the first round of the year. I mean, your full swing is probably more dialed in than your half swings and your feel shots.
So
I mean, you're gonna have that. I mean, because you go to the range, and there's not really many people that go to the range and go, all right, I'm going to work on my 75-yard wedge shot out to that.
Right.
It's like, I'm going to swing hard at a 7-iron. I'm going to swing hard at a 5, hard at a driver.
Right.
So you have your full gear, but you don't have that middle zone. So, I mean, that's no surprise that once you had that 80-yarder, you're just like, oh, shit.
Yeah, just hit it super chunky. And, like I said, it happened on probably 3 or 4 holes that just had nice, easy, less than 100-yard pitch shots in and just couldn't even get it on the green. So that was a little disappointing. But like I said, the putting was shaky at first. And some of that I think was just getting the speed of the greens down and thinking that, I hit a few putts on the practice greens, but it's always a little bit different when you get out there.
Yeah.
Just thinking that the greens were probably going to be faster than what they were. That was probably the biggest surprise for me. The course, it's like, everything was in immaculate shape. Like I said, they don't even allow carts on the course. They take for as much play as that course gets. It was, in incredible shape. Obviously you would expect that with what you're paying, but the biggest surprise is probably the green speeds. And my dad said the same thing. My dad played there years ago and he said it was slower than what you think. But obviously they keep it that way for, the resort guests and things like that.
Well, yeah. What was your round time, like pace of play wise?
Pace of play was great. We were just over 4 hours, I think.
That's pretty solid. Yeah.
I think we're probably maybe closer to 4.5. So, I mean, we waited on maybe 3 tee boxes on the back, I think.
Okay.
And 18 you wait because people are taking pictures on the green and things like that.
By that point you're on 18, so I mean,
right, and you're kind of taking it all in anyway. But you're standing in the fairway waiting to hit your shots while the group in front of you is taking pictures on the green and stuff like that. So it is what it is. But pace of play was great. I mean, they kept it moving, and like I said, the 4 caddies kind of helped with all that, getting yardages and all that kind of stuff. But man, it was a blast. We took some good swings, got some things to work on. We'll get the putting in that. Now the problem is I guess we could have got out and played today, but who knows when I'm going to play again. So
exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, league's right around the corner. We got like a month before league starts. Like a month and a half or so.
The Thursday night men's league group text is picking up. Let's just put it that way. So that must mean league play is right.
Yeah, league play is right around the corner when your phone just continually vibrates, one long vibrate because there's 10,000 just going through it.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. But yeah, it was a ton of fun. I got some, like I said, it did a little bit of damage in the pro shop. I always keep, some scorecards and pencils and tees and all that kind of stuff. But I guess the big takeaway that I had from Harbour Town, and I haven't played a ton of these, top tier courses and things like that, but the thing I guess I would say is how accommodating they were. Like I said, my wife rode along with me in the cart. I got to be honest, I wasn't sure how cool they would be with that, but they said we're more than happy to have her. And Kevin, the caddy, told her, make sure she's having a good time, and had her, walking around on the course and taking pictures and
awesome.
all that kind of stuff. And, everybody, the group that I played with was super cool. And it's a top 20 course or whatever it is, and you pay a decent price to get on there, but it didn't have a super pretentious feel or anything like that. So that, I guess that part was pretty cool.
And that makes it better, because that's the last thing you want to do is pay that money and then just be walking on eggshells, or like, shit, can I go over here? Can I walk over here? Can my wife walk over here? Like that.
Yeah. Not, and not enjoy it. I mean,
right.
You're out there to enjoy it, but they made sure everybody was having a good time and all that good stuff. So it was just an all around good experience. If anybody, is down that way, I would definitely recommend it. They have 2 other courses there that I obviously haven't got a chance to play yet. Yeah. So maybe next time, but we'll, can never get too much golf in. So
yeah. So I mean, kind of another topic I kind of segue into that, that being your first round of 2021, kind of what did you, since you've already gotten your first round under your belt, what were your swing thoughts? What were you like, I'm just going to work on X, Y, or Z, or this is going to be my main focus. What was, with the winter rust still there? I mean, obviously you went to the range a few times, but this is your first time of hit the ball, go get it again. What was your thought process on what were you working on out there?
Honestly, a lot of it was, I don't know if this is the right swing thought or not, but just keep it in play. I try not to overswing, especially on the first tee. You're excited to be there, and especially with the new driver in the bag and things like that. It's like, oh, I want to pound this thing, but I just told myself, just slow it down, keep it in play, that kind of thing. Listening to Caddy give me yardages, he would give me a yardage, and I would maybe club up. If he's saying, hit a 165 shot here, normally I would be between, I'd probably be a 3/4 7 iron or something like that. And I would, take a little bit extra club, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Just to slow everything down, keep it in play, try and find greens and that kind of thing. I try not to overthink it. And that's, I hear this all the time. It's probably why you play halfway decent your first round of the year, because you don't have all those bad habits and you're not overthinking it. Not, you're just trying to be out there and enjoy the round instead of, okay, I got to shoot 80 today, or I got to break 80, or I got to,
most guys, their first round, they're just like, all right, I'm just, there's no swing thought. It's just
happy to be here.
Yeah. Happy to be here. Make solid contact, knock it on the green, just chip it somewhere close, but then mid-season comes around, you're like, nope, I got to turn it off that bunker and I got to hit it this side. And it's just, bog your head down with swing thoughts and course management thoughts that, usually that first year, it's just like, you just kind of get your brain out of the way and you actually score pretty well, or at least you strike it solidly. So,
and like I said, I shot 84, which is, it's right in the range of where I normally am, usually high 70s, mid to low 80s, something like that. And I feel like I probably played a little bit better than that. But like I said, there was a couple shots out there from 75, 80 yards that midsummer, I'm probably getting it on the green instead of hitting a shitty, chunky fan wedge or or whatever. So that, you know, some couple, you throw in a shot or two like that, and there's 2 or 3 strokes on your score right there.
Exactly.
So so I felt like I played pretty well. Honestly, anytime you play with a group of people and you're not super familiar with them, I don't never want to like hold anybody up or anything like that. So I'm just trying to keep it in play and not hold the group up and things like that. But that was never an issue. I mean, the guys I played with were super nice, and they, we were all about probably the same level of play. So it was good.
Yeah, that's always the worst when you get paired with some guys and you're like, man, I really hope I don't keep you guys waiting or anything like that. And it's usually like 2 or 3 holes where there's just like not tension, but like, kind of feeling the whole group out. And then by like third hole, you guys are bored. It seems like you guys have known each other for years. That's just that's how golf is.
Trading stories, and they were drinking White Claws, and it like I said, everybody was out there just to have a good time, and it worked out pretty well. But I definitely want to get back down there and play more golf. And I'd never actually even been to Hilton Head before, so it was kind of cool to just see. It's definitely a quiet little town, not a whole lot of craziness going on, but there's a lot of golf and
lots of golf. Yeah,
lots of golf. And I want to get back to Savannah. There's some good golf courses in Savannah too that had a chance to play, but obviously I couldn't pass up a one-time opportunity to make sure we get on Harbour Town. So
get that box checked. That's smart move.
It was pretty cool, but we'll get back out there. Hopefully there's golf happening here soon. I've been meaning to ask, are you doing the St. Patty's Day outing at Virtues again?
No, we're doing one at Pipestone, which is in Miamisburg. A little closer and a little more cost effective.
There you go.
So it's going to be, like I said, it's a little closer in proximity, not much. Tees off a little earlier, so it's just kind of one of those things where might as well mix it up a little bit. I plan on playing Virtues a ton this year too.
Absolutely.
So why not play a different course instead of that one? So it'll be, I think that'll be my first outdoor round, which will be entertaining to see here in a couple of weeks. But see how it goes.
Well, like I said, it's this time of year is always the worst for me because you have the itch and you want to get out and play, and it's just like, man, the weather is just not cooperating quite yet, and
it's just
ground's still wet, and
it's going to be just a sloppy, soggy mess where that ball lands, it's staying, it's not rolling out. If you catch a wedge a little heavy, it's going to be a lot heavy. So
you're going to be covered in mud probably. So.
Right. Yeah. This is definitely not white pants or white shorts weather yet. So
speaking of which, that was one of the shots I did see from the tournament was Billy Horschel rolling up his white pants and standing in ankle deep mud to get a ball out. He was kind of melting down at the time, if I remember.
On the telecast, we picked up on the telecast that he mentioned he may take his pants off to hit the shot because he had white pants on. I heard him. The announcers were talking, and Mike must have been close to him, and he was like, "I may take my pants off to hit this." And my wife Lauren was in the kitchen, and I go, I was like, "I think Billy Horschel might take his pants off to hit this shot." She's like, "What? Why?" I was like, "Well, because he's wearing white pants." And we were happy to see that he just rolled them up to knee height and flipped the hat around and proceeded to.
Wouldn't that have been something?
Yeah.
You see those guys roll their pants up, but taking them off, that's a whole nother game. That's a whole nother television series there. Not sure it's approved for Sunday afternoon.
I was going to say, I don't know if they'd show that shot or they'd show the result or like a shot tracer and just blur him out. I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff. But we'll hopefully we'll get out there and play some golf again soon. The reason I was asking about the Virtues deals because I just saw them promoting that on social media, and hard to believe it's almost St. Patty's Day already. So
it's Tom and I played in it last year, and it was crazy to think that was like right when like COVID was kind of starting, where we called out there and we said, "Hey, are you guys still having this?" with everything going on, like, with all the rumblings of this disease. And they're like, yeah, if you guys feel fine, come on out. And we went out there and we played. It was, they do a 2-man scramble. And I think we played about, I'd say 13 or 14 holes. It was just cold. And then it just started snowing. And by the time we finished, there was like a 1/4 of an inch of snow on the ground. And the balls were just accumulating snow as they rolled on the greens. And it was, this is not smart. And then like 2 days later, Ohio was just like shut down completely with it. So it's like crazy to think that it's been a year.
I remember that because I had just gotten back from Vegas. I played golf out there with my dad and brother, and I got back and I was texting you and you said you were playing in the St. Patty's Day outing. And my wife and I we were probably just running regular errands on a Sunday afternoon. And I remember it snowing heavily. And I looked at Kelsey and I said, Rob is out there playing golf right now. And that looks awful. Sounds like an awful idea.
Yeah. Wasn't our best decision, but it's all right.
Hey, if the decision is to play golf or not play golf, it's right. I mean, it's always play golf. So
when we started, it was fine. It was just cold. The sun was out for a hot second. And then as we continued, it just got worse and worse. And we're like, can't really turn in. I mean, there's no virtues where we were, our shotgun hole, where we were at, there was like no real sense of like, let's call it at the turn. Cause I don't remember what hole we started on, but I think we played like 15, 16, 17, and 18. It was still nice. And then we just played like 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it just started getting worse as we went. I'm like, we're not near the clubhouse, so we may as well just keep playing.
Yeah. So when I moved to Arizona, I moved to Tucson right out of college. And my buddy Josh came out in February and he said, I got to come out. I'm bringing the sticks. I'll get one round of golf in. And he came out for like a long weekend. So we had like a Friday to play golf. That was like our only day to play golf.
Yeah.
We go out and I think the high that day was like 48 degrees and it sleeted like the entire round. And which it very rarely does in Arizona. Right. And he's just cursing the whole time. He's like, what the hell? He's like, I could have played in this weather in Ohio if I would have just stayed there. But
he's probably, he was probably looking at the weather in Ohio going, look at this, Marcus. I could have stayed.
I think we headed in after about 13 holes. We said, let's just head to the bar. So
if the weather starts to get bad, you just go to the bar, and it's usually climate controlled in there, so it's fine.
Exactly. Yeah. So good stuff. Well, like I said, hopefully we'll be outside playing some golf here. Like I said, today gave me a little bit of hope. It was almost 60 degrees. So
yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, we're getting around the corner, and we'll have to layer up, I'm sure, the first couple rounds, but we'll get out there and go find it and hit it again.
It's almost scary because you have a day like today and you start feeling good and you're like, in the back of your mind, you just know one more snowfall's coming. So
yeah. I had to remind myself that where I was like, oh man, it's 60 today. We're in it. And I'm like, well, no, I just told the story. I'm like, Tom and I played in 1/4 inch of snow last year. And I'm like, Mother Nature will probably slap us with one more snowfall before it starts to finally break, but we'll see. Yeah. So. But with the Arnold Palmer Invitational, is there anybody that I know we don't normally talk about, the upcoming event and any players. Do you have anybody that you're looking to see maybe do well this week or you like, or you at least hope does well this week?
I got to look at the field, but I mean, I don't know. Like I said earlier, it's some of these young guys that have been at the top of all these leaderboards. Yeah. You feel like Hovland's close. He's been right there 3 or 4 weeks in a row. So got to feel good about him. I think Homa's back in it this week. So
I think so. Yeah,
I think I saw he's playing. So I don't know. Those two guys would probably be right at the top of my pick list if I had to make some. Yeah. So I don't know how about you.
I wrote 2 names down. I wrote Horschel just because. I mean, he played well last week.
Yeah.
He just, I don't know, he's kind of one of those guys. He just looks solid. I mean, he played well on Sunday last week, and it was just like, a yard here, a yard there, coming into the greens, and he could have, challenged Morikawa. And then I wrote Louis Oosthuizen. I don't know why. I was just going through, and I'm like, he's always kind of there, And I'm like, usually he plays pretty well in like big events. Like he's always there around, the Masters and a couple majors. It's like, oh, Louis Oosthuizen's like just on the bottom of the first page. So I'm like, I saw it. I'm like, you know what? Yeah. If I was a gambling man, I'd put some hard-earned dollars on Louis and Billy.
Okay. I like it. I don't know what his odds are, but I can't imagine he's got great odds. So it could be a good payout for you if you threw some money down on him.
I really wanted to. I guess I could go and do that, and it's on the podcast. So if we have proof that I made the call,
it is out there in the interwebs. Your pick here, so that's interesting. Yeah, it'll be fun to get back and watch a little bit of golf this weekend, and
it's always a fun course. Yeah,
vicariously through them because I'm sure the weather will be nice and warm and sunny. So
bundled up. I think it's supposed to be a high of 40 on Saturday now, and something like that. So we'll be bundled up watching the Florida swing. So.
There you go. Can't beat that. So good stuff. Good stuff. Well, it was fun to kind of recap Harbour Town a little bit here. It was nice to get out and play a little golf and look forward to plenty more golf coming up here, even though it might not happen right away. But it was nice to get the first round out of the way, and I shouldn't say out of the way because that makes it sound like I was trying to get it over with, but it was nice to play the first round of the year.
It's like pushing a big boulder. You got to push it first, and then it just is going to It's good to get that initial push of the boulder, and now it's just going to go downhill where you just play a ton of golf now in 2021. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Can't beat it. So, well, I think that's probably a good place to stop for this week. We'll be back again next week talking more golf, talking the Arnold Palmer Invitational. I may hit the range this weekend. Who knows? So
I'll be hopefully if the Oosthuizen bet pays off, I'll be rocking a Rolex or something like that because the bet pays out. I'll go spend that money. We'll see. I'll be cheering hard for Louis. So
there you go. Well, Good chatting again this week. As always, we are on YouTube, so give us a subscribe there. We are on iTunes and Spotify. Subscribe, give us a like, comment, all that good stuff. We'd love to hear any comments or feedback from you all. But and follow us on Instagram as well, Club Toro Ohio and Punch Out Golf. So
that's right.
All right.
Like us on all avenues, please. We need to be liked.
We need to feel the love.
Yeah, we need to be liked. We like to be liked. Michael Scott style. So
there you go. So all right, until next week. Appreciate it. Good talking to you, and we'll chat again next week.
We'll do it again. Sounds good, sir.
All right, we'll see you.
Adios.